Hey guys and gals, it is finally springtime here in Kansas, and we've had a heck of a winter this year. We've had more snowfall than average, and it's finally starting to melt off a little bit. We're finally starting to get some temps above freezing, and it's finally time to start getting out and shooting the bows, getting ready for turkey season. I want to go through my whole setup for 2019. This year I got the new RX-3 Ultra from Hoyt. And so far I am extremely impressed with it. This model is a 34-inch axle to axle. It's rated at 334 feet per second, and the brace height is 6 3/4 inches. So this bow, compared to last year's RX-1, which is what I shot the RX-1 instead of the Ultra last year. I didn't really want to go to the 35-inch axle to axle with the Ultra in the RX-1 last year, so 34 inches is kind of my wheelhouse. I'm a longer draw length. I'm a 30.5-inch draw, and a 34-inch bow just seems to fit me well. I've really enjoyed shooting some of the past 34-inch models from Hoyt. This particular bow, got it out of the box. I ended up throwing a Hoyt Ultra Rest on it, which is made by QAD, and right away ended up squaring up my my nock with the rest through the arrow going through the burger buttonhole. And so I was perfectly 90 degrees there. And then the left and right, I basically just got back an eyeball with the arrow shaft on, going through the center of the riser, the center of the grip, just to kind of get it in the ballpark. Surprised when I went to tune this thing through paper, I shot bullet holes the first 2 shots, which is incredible. That's one thing I will say from last year. The RX-1, I fought a little bit more on the initial tune. Ended up taking a little bit more work than I'm used to get it shooting broadheads good. But so far, this RX-3 Ultra seems to be spot on. So again, had super good luck getting it set up initially. Shot good holes through paper right away, so I brought it out to the range. Next, I want to go through the sight that I chose this year. I chose the CBE Engage hybrid sight, and it's basically a dial sight. I choose the 3-pin sight always. I've been shooting a CBE Tech hybrid for a lot of years. I've probably put that thing on 5 of my past bows. Probably 7 or 8 years of shooting the same sight, so that thing has been fantastic for me. Decided to upgrade to the 2019 CBE sight this year, which is the Engage, and it's basically, you know, in a nutshell, the same as the Tech hybrid. There are a few changes that they've offered. Not going to get too specific into that, but what I really like about this new sight is the adjustability. You're able to take the sight and move it up and down by a long ways. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of measurements, or a whole bunch of adjustments, I should say, that you're able to have a wide range. Also, the left and right. I mean, you can unbolt this housing and move it left or right in the 4 mounting holes on the front of the sight here. I found that to be very handy while I was tuning this thing and getting my initial 20, 30, and 40 yard pins sighted in. So again, the adjustability is just second to none. It's amazing. Another thing that I noticed they've added is the bright ring, and that makes for the alignment through the peep sight much quicker, especially in low light. That's something that they upgraded to, and I really like it. Some of the old pro models of the Tech hybrid had the steel sight tapes, and that's something they've continued with this Engage sight, and I really like those. So you can basically just unscrew 2 bolts, and you can use any of the provided steel sight tapes depending on your speed and arrow weight and all those good things. So anyway, I'm right now at a number 6 sight tape is where I've kind of settled on right now. I still need to do some finer tuning. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to stick with that one. I basically sighted in my 20, 30, and 40 without moving the sight. And then basically after that, as long as your 40 yard pin is dead on with the little indicator here, you screw on what sight tape you might need. You dial to, say, 60, 70, or 80 yards. I chose 80. And I shot several groups at 80 yards, and I found that the number 6 sight tape is pretty much dead on with my 80 yard pin or 80 yard indicator as you roll it down to 80. So again, super excited about this new sight, the new bow. The rest has been fantastic. I've used the Hoyt Ultra Rest or the QAD Rest for a lot of years. It's never caused any troubles, you know, in snow, rain, everything. It's performed very well. Lastly, I want to touch on the awesome new stabilizer that I've chose this year from Stokerized. They came out in 2019 with the Stasis version of their stabilizer, and basically it's a front and a back bar all tied into one with great adjustability. How this works is you can move this angle away, you can rotate it away from the bow, or you can suck it in tight, all depending on the counterweight on the opposite side. So if you have a heavy quiver full of arrows, or this sight, you know, is fairly high in weight, and so you can counter that weight by kicking this bar out, and it'll kind of true you back up. Also, you can move it front to back to obviously counter the weight forward or backwards. In this case, again, this sight is sticking out front here, so it's pretty heavy. So I like to slide this back just a little bit farther. And also, it comes out of the package with 2 weights up front and 2 in the back. What I've done is take all the weights off the front, and I ended up adding 1 in the back. So I have 3 in the back and 0 in the front. So for me, for this sight, for this bow, I like it because when you hold that thing at full draw, that thing stays vertical. You don't want that thing, you know, hanging way forward with all this front weight with the side and extra weight up front. So I really like countering that weight, and then getting that weight low and back really seems to stabilize this bow. Another thing with the Hoyt, I've never found a bow that holds better in the hand at full draw. That thing just locks on target. It's no different than any of the past Hoyts. This thing just locks tight on the target. First impressions on arrows going through the bow. I'm shooting the 445 grain arrow. I'm shooting a Victory VAP TKO 300 spine. And with that setup, that's kind of middle of the road, I'm gonna call it for weight. That arrow coming out of this bow, you just don't feel hardly any hand shock. The vibration is almost nothing, especially when you're adding the Stokerized stabilizer. This bow is more quiet than any Hoyt I've shot. So they're doing some fantastic things on stabilization, on balance, on quietness and vibration free. I'm just super ecstatic to shoot this bow for 2019. So what I'm going to do, I've already sighted in, like I said. I've selected the proper sight tape. I know this thing's capable of some pretty good groups at 80 yards. I've already shot it. So I'm going to shoot 3 arrows down at 80 yards, and I'm going to see if I can put together a decent group just to kind of show you what this thing's capable of. Again, I'm no professional, just a hunter. I shoot a lot, don't get me wrong. I feel like, you know, spending time with your weapon is going to make you so much more efficient of a hunter. So I'm out here shooting almost daily, especially leading up to a certain season. So again, I've got about almost exactly a month till the opener of the Kansas turkey season. Don't plan on shooting anywhere past 30 yards probably on a turkey, but I do like to, you know, get everything sighted in and get everything in line for the sight tape and everything in the future. So I like shooting at longer distances. I like practicing because you can really minimize your groups up front, or up close, I should say, by concentrating on holding everything just perfect at longer distances, having proper form, proper follow through, and everything just really seems to shrink down on your groups up close. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shoot 3 down at 80, and we'll see how it goes. All right, well, it looks like we did okay. The first arrow I pulled to the left just a little bit. That was my fault. I'm fighting a little bit of wind coming through these trees. But the next two were spot on. For 80 yards, that's all I can ask for. I'm no better shooter than a 2 or 3 inch group at 80. So it's really exciting. I'm really liking this new RX-3 Ultra so far. I think it's capable of an even better group, but I'm literally on day 2 of shooting this thing, so I am just super excited and pleased with it right off the bat. So I recommend you guys go to your local Hoyt dealer, give one a try, and I hope you like this review. Take care.